Have you seen Star Wars?
Okay, I know this may be a hot take and one that is going to piss off a lot of people. I understand that, but due to all the evidence, I think Kathleen Kennedy is going to stay on as Lucasfilm President past the year 2021, which is ironically this year. And I know what the detractors are going to say, and the haters are going to say. They're going to say, Star Wars only, what about all the production issues? What about the box office flop of Solo: A Star Wars Story? The countless director changes? What about all the controversy surrounding her? The Force is female, man. Yes, I 110% agree that Kathy has made a lot of mistakes since she took charge of Lucasfilm in 2012, and I have consistently called her out for those mistakes. She has fired or let go 5 directors at least, and a few more writers who are working on the Star Wars projects, and a lot of the blame for that does rest on her shoulders. She fired Josh Trank from the Boba Fett film, which in hindsight may have been a blessing in disguise because now we're getting a series. Kathy fired both Phil Lord and Chris Miller from Solo, which doubled the production cost and made the film flop in the box office. She fired Colin Trevorrow over creative differences right before production would begin on episode 9, making the production for it, when J.J. Abrams came on, rushed and messy in the storytelling. Then she fired David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, which may have also been a blessing in disguise after season 8 of Game of Thrones, but that still isn't a great look. She also delayed the Kenobi series for script rewrite, so there's clearly a production problem here, and as Lucasfilm president and executive producer for all of these projects, she is a person to point the finger at, kinda similar how people pointed the blame at George Lucas for the prequels, because he was the man in charge. But with all of that to be said, and there was a lot, I think she's still going to be Lucasfilm president for a little while longer, at least a year or two past 2021, and here are a few reasons why. Insider reports from places like Deadline, Variety, and The Hollywood Reporter have stated that she is not happy with the director turnover inside of Lucasfilm, and that's one of the reasons she did not want to let go of the Game of Thrones writers David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, is because of this pattern of turnover, and because of that, I think she's actually approaching the future of Star Wars films with a lot more caution and care, and I think she's doing pretty solid at it so far. We haven't even seen the new films, but it's clear that all 3 of the next films are being planned out properly. The next film that comes out is in 2023, and it's called Rogue Squadron, which will be directed by Patty Jenkins, who directed the Wonder Woman movies. Not only is the script for the movie almost complete, it's being completed almost 3 years before the movie releases in theaters. She hired Taika Waititi as another director for a Star Wars movie, likely coming out in 2025 because that's the next slated release date, and they have been working on the script for that since 2020 when they announced it, 5 years ahead of its potential release. And if we assume that Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie comes in 2022, we just learned this past week who the writer for that movie is. All of this means that there is a clear vision for the next 3 Star Wars movies, and there are already people working on those films long before production starts. I think that's a good sign, and the people that she has brought into those Star Wars films are good choices. Kevin Feige is going to co-produce a Star Wars film with Kathleen Kennedy, and I think that's going to be not only a learning experience for her and him, I think that's going to be a good choice on producers, and maybe a good film. We'll have to see what happens when it comes out. And since that comes from Alan Horn, the co-chairman of Disney Studios, I think that's pretty clear that means that she is staying on until that movie comes out with Kevin Feige attached to it. Patty Jenkins may or may not have been a solid choice for a director, but it really depends on how you like her movies. But a lot of fans are excited about the Taika Waititi film. Now, this is just the film side. I think the television side is where Kathy is kind of shining and kind of making the best choices. She approved of The Mandalorian as a show, and not only did she approve of it, she's using directors from that series in other productions. Examples are having Taika direct his Star Wars movie, Deborah Chow is directing the Kenobi series, and Robert Rodriguez from Season 2 is directing the Boba Fett series. I think a lot of fans would agree that these are all good choices, but she has also given Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni a lot more creative freedom with The Mandalorian, and now 2 to 3 other shows like Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, and now The Book of Boba. All of these decisions are either made by Kathy or are approved by her, and we have to give credit where credit is due. One of the best things that she has done is let Dave Filoni step into live action. Don't forget, she brought him onto set for all of the sequel films to learn about live action directing and producing. It was kind of like his version of film school. Then they let him use those lessons to create The Mandalorian. She even made a deal with Jon Favreau when he pitched The Mandalorian since he had already written, 4 episodes when he pitched it, she said, okay, that's great, but you have to let Dave Filoni write the 5th one, and I want him to direct as well. That's a great move. Another reason I think she's staying on is because, of course, the High Republic. It just started this year of 2021, and seeing as she helped start this new era, it would make sense that she would want to see it through, at least until it goes into live action. My prediction is that it's going to be the Kevin Feige movie that takes it into live action that she's co-producing with him. So if that comes out in 2027, she may stay on till then. Not to mention, one of the best things I think Kathy has done is go directly to Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney at the time, and told him that they need to stop putting out movies every year because Star Wars is not Marvel. Wisest and best choice that she has done as Lucasfilm president so far. And I think my last point on this is that the final Indiana Jones movie comes out in 2022, and if it was going to release this year in 2021, I think it was originally supposed to release this year, I always said that that would be her last movie with the company. She would leave the company after this movie came out because it's a franchise she has produced since it started, I think in the 70s or 80s. So she's going to see that all the way through as well. I think she's on board for the Indiana Jones movie, and that comes out in July of 2022. So she's at least going to be on board until then. But with all that to be said, I think we have Kathleen Kennedy as Lucasfilm president for another 3 to 5 years. At most, maybe at least. It wouldn't surprise me if she even stayed on for the rest of this decade, which I know is a big reach. Not only is she, I think, like 68 or 69, nice, but I think that 10 years on board with Lucasfilm may be a little bit much for her, but 2027 or 2025 is when I would predict that she likely would, jump ship and move up in the world. Probably she would move up in the chain of command at Disney, which would actually, I know some people are going to be like, oh, she's leaving Lucasfilm, great, but if she moves up the chain of command at Disney, like if her boss, Alan Horn, retires because Bob Iger leaves, then she could take his place, and then whoever is Lucasfilm president after her would ironically report directly to Kathy. So she would still have a lot of control. So, what a twist and turn of things. So even if she does leave Star Wars in 2021, there's no changing what she has set up for the next 7 years. All these new shows and movies, and even the High Republic, is going to be the content of Star Wars until 2027, and all of that is a direct result of Kathleen Kennedy. I don't love the woman, don't get me wrong, but looking at things rationally, I gotta stress that word right there, looking at all the evidence and thinking rationally, I can't see a scenario where she leaves by the end of 2021. Now, if I'm wrong, I am gladly gonna come out and say it, and depending on who the next president is, I probably will be happy. If it's someone like Jon Favreau, I'll be like, oh, this is a very surprising move, but I am happy. But if I'm right about this, all the people on YouTube who said she was being fired or would not stay on past this year need to admit that they were wrong as well. We gotta call a spade, guys. We gotta admit when we're wrong, and we can also gloat when we're right. Love her or hate her, Kathleen Kennedy and her legacy is here to stay for a long time. I personally have said for years now that I want Jon Favreau as the next Lucasfilm president, and I still stand by that. But due to his work on all these new shows, I would actually rather him focus on that than try to run the business of Star Wars. That's one thing people don't understand. A lot of idiots out there say, I want Dave Filoni as Lucasfilm president. If you say that, you have absolutely no idea how movie making works. You do not want Dave Filoni as Lucasfilm president because creatively he would never direct anything, he would never write anything ever again. I want him to do what he's doing. Work on the story with Jon Favreau. It's a dream team, and I want to see them do that for the next 10 years. The future of Star Wars seems pretty bright right now, and though I hated The Last Jedi, I hated Rise of Skywalker, and honestly I didn't really like any of the new content from 2012 to 2019 when it comes to Rebels, when it comes to Resistance, when it comes to Solo, even Rogue One I don't think was that great. Even The Force Awakens, I kind of look back with a little bit of a frown. The only thing I truly liked from that decade was The Mandalorian and Jedi Fallen Order, which I won't give her credit for because that is, EA. I still think she's going to stay on as president because at this point, who else is going to replace her? The only other person inside Lucasfilm I see replacing this woman right now is Michelle Rejwan, and let me tell you boys right now, you don't want her as Lucasfilm president either. So, tell me your thoughts below. Is Kathleen Kennedy going to stay on past 2021, or will she end her contract with Lucasfilm and move on to greener pastures? Let me know in the comment section below. Give me some hate because I know I will get some. And if you like this video, please like, comment, or subscribe because it does help out the channel. I'm Star Wars Only. I will see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.